So, have any of you had a hospital take one of your grandparents and put them under a public guardianship without your knowledge? You're not going to believe this. Wyong Hospital in New South Wales has had my grandmother in the hospital for 2 months. 2 months, and they put applications into a tribunal without my knowledge, even though I'm right there on the system as her next of kin, and put allegations in there and a sumptuous report made against my nan, states that she has moderate dementia, when in actual fact I understand her medical history and have been involved in her medical history for a long time, to find out on a particular day just a week or so ago that she's been in there for 2 months, no one's called me, and there's already been a court case, and now she's completely under the protection of a public guardian, and she has no rights to go home, she has no rights to her finances, and she doesn't get to make choices in her life anymore, and no family member, especially myself, was informed of this until it was too late. Now, I've called the public guardianship, and I must say that it's not actually their fault. They're the ones that get the applications handed to them by the hospital. After a conversation with one of them today, I found out that this hospital, Gosford and Wyong mainly in New South Wales, are absolutely notorious for sending them applications where once it's passed the court, the family seem to not know about anything until it's all said and done. And then there has to be a whole nother court hearing done so that they can get their grandparent or their parent back and out of the hospital or out of a facility if that's not where they choose to be, or, you know, even apply for more at-home assistance for them or allow them to live with you. All those options taken away, finances taken away. It's almost like they create a deceased estate while they're still alive and no one's allowed to touch it. And then they put all their money into a residential facility and they do it without family involvement, which you're not allowed to do that. That is poor procedure. Not only poor procedure, but it's actually not legal. And the hospitals are so confident in themselves to do these things that I'm not a unique case. Unfortunately, the public guardians have had this happen to them time and time again and year after year. I've just stumbled across it and I was in absolute shock. I was not known for 2 months when I was in the hospital. I wasn't informed of her dementia. She didn't have dementia 2 months ago. I wasn't informed of the difference that she was going to court. She didn't even have representation of a lawyer. And when I spoke to my nan about it, she at first didn't believe me. She thought she was only in there to get better for her diabetes and then she was going home. And I noticed that the nurses in the hospital weren't actually telling her. They were just saying, go back to bed, it's okay, you'll go home soon. You've got to talk to the doctor, and just completely throwing her off. When I told her what was happening and that she's actually not allowed to leave the ward, she's not allowed to go home, she's not allowed to see her belongings, and she's not allowed to touch her finances, she was in shock. She's been living there for 2 months in belief that she was going home. And when she said to me, I don't believe you, I said, now I don't want you to get scared, but I'll go with you if you want. Ask them if you can discharge yourself. I actually had to allow her to see it for herself. And when she went to leave, they said, you need to get back to your bed, you're under a public guardianship, you don't have the right to go home, you can't take care of yourself. My nan was completely coherent. She could write letters, she could spell her name, she knew who I was, we had conversations. She hasn't forgotten a thing. The only thing she couldn't remember was what day it was, and if I'd been in the hospital for 2 months, I wouldn't have remembered that either. However, there is a way to reverse it. So the whole point to my story is, has this happened to you? Because if you're in the New South Wales area, and you, even Queensland if you want, but if this has happened to you, comment, because I need to start getting signatures and I need to start holding these hospitals accountable. They need to involve the family relatives. You cannot do this to an elderly person who is vulnerable and has family who will help them and just take control of their lives like that, not involve family, and then have family feeling like they're helpless and can't do anything. There are ways that you can correct this. It's lengthy, it's annoying, but there is ways to do it. But one thing that we should be working on first is the source of the problem. And the source of the problem are the hospitals are just sick and tired of not having enough beds. And so they're giving it to the public guardianship, avoiding to speak to family because they know family is going to assist whatever the elderly person would want. So my nan would prefer to stay at home and have extra supports, which she's entitled to. But that may mean she will still have to come into hospital sometimes because she has asthma and diabetes and whatever. But that's life, you know, and taking away someone's rights and not involving family is wrong, and it starts with the hospitals. Comment. You don't have to, give me all your personal information, but if this has happened to you and one of your family relatives have been, unbeknown to you, completely thrown into the public guardianship because the hospital has not involved family, type the hospital's name, and yes, it's happened to you, and I'm going to class that as signatures to have this investigated, that the hospitals need to start doing procedures. Start working on their procedures and doing procedures correctly, because without forming families, they're not doing the procedures correctly, and families shouldn't have to be going through this. Older adults shouldn't have to be classed as incapacitated to make decisions when they're coming in for general health, and also labelled with dementia because they're constantly confused on why they can't go home, mainly because they're not being told the truth. So if this has happened to you, comment the hospital and say yes, and I got a few A few tricks up my sleeve to hold these hospitals accountable. Someone has to show them right from wrong. Alright, you got this.